With that, let us bring in Texas Congressman Pat Fallon of the House Armed Services Committee. And Congressman, let's be honest with ourselves. Our cities are already struggling mightily with crime. What's going to happen to these cities when Joe Biden gets his way and gets what he is trying to get done to happen in these cities?
Well, you know, Todd, it's just an egregious dereliction of duty because we don't know who these people are for the most part. And last month, and the last month we have data for, which was April, there were 234,000 illegal border crossings, which is the highest in history. And most of the mainstream media is not talking about it. They're ignoring it, but it's never been worse. It's worse than it was last year. And to put it in context, the last time President Trump was in office in April, that was in April of 2020, of course, this is an increase of 1,268% over that month 2 years ago. This is it's an incredible, and I'm just, speechless. There's 160 different countries that are represented in the last year or two of people that are crossing the border illegally. We had 100,000 opioid deaths in this country because fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine is flooding across the border.
Yeah, and there's that migrant caravan that could grow to 15,000 people strong. We were just looking at images of it. The number of people already in it is unbelievable. Could be 15,000 by the time it gets to the U.S. border. When it comes to that migrant caravan and others like it, shouldn't President Biden be on the phone with the Mexican president and say, listen, you got to stop this. You got to do something to stop this before these people get to the United States. That is something that former President Trump did do during his time in office, right?
You know what, Carly, you're asking Joe Biden to show leadership. You're asking him to be proactive. This administration for the last year and a half has proved one thing: they're just simply always reactive. And we have a lot of leverage with Mexico, too. We're their largest trading partner. And that President Trump used that leverage, and he took that flood of illegal immigration and he reduced it to a trickle. But Joe Biden, as soon as he got into office, that's why there's been a flood again, because we have a de facto open border. And it's very dangerous, and it puts Americans at risk. And our greatest calling as legislators or public elected officials is to keep Americans safe. And Joe Biden has failed at that.
Meantime, the House passing a package intended to reduce gun violence, very unlikely to pass in the Senate. This happening just hours after testimony from a little fourth-grade survivor of the Uvalde school shooting. Take a listen to her.
Do you feel safe at school? Why not?
Because I don't want it to happen again.
And you think it's going to happen again?
Shot my teacher and told my teacher goodnight and shot her in the head. He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and I put it all over me.
Just a horrific account. Congressman, how do we make sure no little girl experiences such a horror ever again?
You know what, Todd, what we do is talk about what could actually make our children safer. And there's a lot of unspent federal money from COVID that can do several things. One, we need to harden our schools by having tiered security works and single point of entry, particularly in elementary schools, a school marshal program to train volunteers, teachers, and staff that would like to go through the training and have them armed there. Change the police doctrine so they don't, they don't besiege a school that has a threat. They advance and eliminate that threat. And let's leverage technology, which we did in Frisco, Texas, 13 years ago. And so it's much cheaper to do that now, to wire all classrooms, all hallways, every stitch of every school with cameras, and have the cities work with the school districts to make sure that they can identify that threat, track that threat, and eliminate that threat forthwith. But the Democrats don't want to have that kind of conversation. They just want to talk about, eviscerating the Second Amendment.
Certainly in the House. In the Senate, there are bipartisan conversations taking place, and they are talking about securing schools. So hopefully something positive can come of that. Congressman Fallon, thank you so much for waking up early, joining us this morning.
Thanks, Carly. Thanks, Todd. God bless.
Good to see you.